What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We're now into week 5 of the NFL season, and we have a Thursday night matchup between the Colts and the Broncos. Now, if we take a look at the line movement throughout this week from when the lines first came out for this game, it started at 3 in favor of the Broncos. Currently, it hasn't really moved a whole lot. It's currently at the Broncos minus 3.5. And I took a little bit of a look at where the public's at in terms of bet percentages, and the public is 61% of the public is on the Broncos to cover. So I don't think the line has moved a whole lot for the kind of shift in money with the Broncos getting a slight edge in the money. But I think Jonathan Taylor not playing is what shifted the line that half point. To be honest, I expected it to shift a little bit more than half a point. Jonathan Taylor's a big part of the Colts offense, but they do have Nyheim Hines, and they activated Phillip Lindsay off of the practice squad to fill his spot. So we'll see. And Denver does have a pretty good defense when it comes to defending the run, as we'll get into in a second. But I just kind of expected the line to move there, so I believe that half-point movement is due to the Jonathan Taylor. Now, if we get into the stats for both teams, we'll see that the Broncos and Colts have both kind of struggled on offense. Both teams have a new quarterback to the franchise, with the Colts introducing Matt Ryan to their franchise, and the Broncos with Russell Wilson. But the Broncos are averaging 16.5 points per game this year, where the Colts are only averaging 14.3 points per game. And, I mean, both defenses are solid. The Colts have been struggling with a little bit of injuries on their defense with Shaq Leonard and a couple of their defensive linemen. But the Broncos are giving up 17 points a game, while the Colts are giving up 21.3 points per game. Both defenses have played pretty solid because, I mean, when you look at it, their offenses haven't helped them. So only giving up that many points with the number of possessions and amount of plays around the field each game, it's pretty impressive. However, the Broncos are a bit more susceptible to the run, but, I mean, without Jonathan Taylor, they should be all right. And, I mean, by susceptible, I think they give up a little over 100 yards per game on the ground. So not like a super stout rushing defense, but not terrible by any means. So I think we're looking at a little bit of a defensive battle on Thursday, but we'll have to wait and see. Then jumping into the against the spread records for each team, you'll see that the Colts are 1-3 overall this year against the spread, and the Broncos are also 1-3 overall against the spread. So neither team has covered the spread all that much so far this season. In their 2 road games, the Colts are 0-2, and in the Broncos' 2 home games, they're 1-1 against the spread. So there's nothing really that sticks out when you look at the against the spread records as to who's going to cover. So there's nothing really making me lean either way. However, if you look at the over-under records for both teams, now this basically means the record shows how many times they've hit the over for each game this season. The Colts have gone under in every single game this season with a record of 0-4 overall in terms of their over-under. And the Broncos are 1-3 overall, so they've only went over in 1 of their 4 games this season. Both teams are 0-2 when you look at home versus away. The Colts are 0-2 on the road, and the Broncos are 0-2 at home when it comes to the over. So I do like the under in this game. It's at 42.5 currently. So I mean, both teams struggle on offense, and they're pretty decent on defense, so I do like the under in this game. Now, if we're getting into props that I like for this game, there's one that I really like, and it's Matt Ryan over 230.5 passing yards. So there are 2 games this year that he hasn't hit this mark, and there are 2 games where he has. I just kind of like this because I think the Broncos being at home and having not as many injuries, I guess, as the Colts do, I think they'll be leading for most of the game, which will force Matt Ryan to have to throw the ball a bit more. Especially without Jonathan Taylor, the Colts will probably have to rely on the passing game. Nyheim Hines is more of a pass-catching back. He's more of a third-down type back. He's not going to be the guy that gets 35 carries a game and they just kind of ground and pound with him. He's more of a guy out of the backfield, check down option. So with that, I think they'll lean more into like the screen game, that type of thing to open up the running game. So I do like Matt Ryan over 230.5 passing yards, which kind of leads me into my pick for this game. So I already mentioned I like the under. I am going to be taking the under. And I also I think the Broncos minus 3.5 is the pick if you're looking for a spread pick here. So that'll be my pick for the spread. But I also threw in a little same game parlay that I put together. It has plus 523 odds. And I did it on FanDuel, so some of the options won't be available on some of the other books, like the alternative yards and stuff like that. But if we take a look at it, as you see, I've got the Matt Ryan prop here. I did 225. It took 5 yards off of it, just cause it was one of the alternate yardage markers. So I'm gonna take Matt Ryan over 225 passing yards. Michael Pittman Jr. over 50 receiving yards. He's Matt Ryan's number one target, and I think if Matt Ryan has a successful day through the air, he'll have to hook up with Pittman a handful of times. The under, I boosted it to a 49.5 just to be safe. I think 7 touchdowns in this game is going to be very hard to come by. So 49.5 points should be a safe line for the under. Then we've got Alec Pierce over 25 plus receiving yards. Again, he's another one of Matt Ryan's targets. He's typically a number 2 or 3 target, depending on who is playing tight end for the Colts. But again, if Matt Ryan's going to have success through the air, I think Alec Pierce gets 25 plus receiving yards. And then I took the Broncos money line. I think the Broncos will cover. I think they'll be leading for the majority of the game. They're at home. So I took Broncos money line. I wasn't going to mess with the spread for the parlay. So all these are pretty safe options. I mean, it's not some crazy odds parlay. It's just plus 523, but anytime you can find a plus sign in front of a bet and you like your chances, you should definitely go ahead and take it. So even if it was, plus 100, plus 523, I like this bet. So if you want to rock with it, go ahead. Again, this is just my thought on what I think is going to happen for this game. So with that being said, I've got a handful of other videos coming out this weekend, so keep an eye out for those. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video.